K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
Welcome to the podcast you've always wanted. It's The Right Angle with Bill and Leslie.
Well, now, hey, everybody. Welcome to The Right Angle. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leslie. He's Bill. Hi, Billy.
Yada, yada, yada.
Exactly. So, beloved listeners, as happens in the young career of all podcast hosts, Billy and I have hit a wall of meh this week. And there's a reason. Here on The Right Angle, we don't want to discuss topics in the news just because they're in the news. If we can't offer somewhat unique analysis or info on a topic, we don't really want to talk about it. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste your time. So this week, as we're preparing for the show,
to fill your tank, Nissan is America's most fuel-efficient full line. Hang on.
My bad.
I'm sorry, that was really funny.
Sorry about that. That was funny. I don't want to talk about Nissan either, although I do drive a Nissan. So yeah, the pre-production meetings were like, okay, what's cool to talk about this week? Planned Parenthood? No, they suck. Iran deal? It sucks. Trump? Hell no, not 3 weeks in a row. Tom Brady's suspension? I'll cut you, Bill. So there's nothing we want to talk about. And since we literally want to talk about nothing, we have decided to do a show about nothing.
That's right, a show about nothing. When we started talking about doing this show, one of the things that I had said that I always wanted to do was to talk about Seinfeld, because Seinfeld, along with The Simpsons, is responsible for, like, everything that I know about, everything I know about comedy. I mean, not just the fact that, like, I used to listen to other, like, old Jews bitch about their wives, like Henny Youngman. I mean, it was, yeah, I went there. But it's, I had a friend of mine one time who listens to this show, and she said, "I thought you were Jewish," and I said, "No, I'm not Jewish." And she says, "Oh." I said, "In fact, I've never dated a Jewish woman, and as far as I know, I've never even had sex with a Jewish woman." And so she goes,
As far as I know.
"So then you and most Jewish men have a lot in common then." Okay, so I told that story. That was, yeah. Anyway, so I really like Seinfeld.
Check that off your bucket list, Bill.
One of the things about Seinfeld that I always loved about it was that it's so dated in a way, and yet, like, it's not. And just the Costanzas. My family, if anybody has, like, an embarrassing family, I have a Frank and Ethel Costanza. That was my grandparents. They used to argue about the stupidest things. And I would sit and watch Seinfeld, and I would just die laughing. I would almost piss my pants watching that show because Frank Costanza reminded me so much of my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I mean, let's just go right into it and talk about it. Seinfeld was such a terrific show. It should have kept going. Seinfeld disagreed. He said that, everything should, in the end, end. And they decided
on a high note?
Yeah, they decided to end the show not because they thought it was getting stale, but because they were afraid that it might. And then they would have to go out on a low.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So what's your...
So, I have probably the exact opposite original experience as you do to Seinfeld, which is why I enjoy so much talking to you about it, because the first episode of Seinfeld I ever saw was the series finale. And
I think I'm the only person that didn't like the series finale too, by the way.
Maybe. I had nothing to compare it to. I had never seen it. I was it was kind of before Friends. I was kind of a Friends girl. There was nothing about it in my late teens and early 20s that appealed to me. Nothing at all. I couldn't identify with any of the characters. Obviously, I'm not Jewish or could identify with the ethnic part of it. But even the New York part of it, I'm a Northeasterner, but even as a Bostonian, I'm like, just nothing turned me on about it. I happened to be out for a work event in Boston at a bar where the big event at the bar was the series finale, and that was my intro to it. And even then I'm like, okay, at least I got to participate in this cultural event. And it was many years later, God, it was 15 years later that I was basically stuck during one summer at a summer house, the house that we went to for our, summer vacation and weekends or whatever. And it was before smartphones, it was before Wi-Fi, and the only entertainment in the house was the DVDs that you could play on your laptop. And I had access to the first 4 seasons of Seinfeld. And that's how I came to admire it.
I started watching the show towards the end of the first season. I was a pretty early intro to the show. I had
Now, roughly, how old were you?
What year did the show first come out? I don't even know. Probably about 13, 14. Not really sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe a little younger. Probably a little younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend at the time, who I went to, I went to a school with a lot of Jewish kids, so a lot of these kids watched Seinfeld just because, he was like a Jewish comedian who made a sitcom, and back in those days that was weird. Of course it's not now, but it was then. And so the first episode of Seinfeld I ever watched was the one where they were in the mall parking lot, where they're and I know the name of the mall too, which is so weird. It was the Garden State Mall. They went to the garden. They were in the Garden State Mall in Paramus, New Jersey. I know that that's the mall that they were in because they had an exterior shot of the mall during the show.
A mall, no stranger to you. Yes.
Yeah, and they were driving around. They were trying to figure out how to find their car in a parking lot, and that was a pretty common thing back in the 80s and 90s. You know, you'd park in these giant, super massive parking structures. You'd never fucking be able to find your car, even if you tried. You could have a homing device, and you'd never fucking find it. And they convinced this lady to drive them around the parking lot, and it shows them getting into the car, and then she stops the car, and they just all get out of the car, and she throws George out from the passenger seat next to her, and he goes, "What? I never even met L. Ron Hubbard. I'm sure he's a nice guy." And so then he pulls off, and Jerry goes, "Man, those Scientologists are touchy people. You'd never be able to say that now. Like on TV, the church would, you know, the cult would be so upset with you, they would sue you to death for it. But now, then they could get away with it,
right? As with many of the gags, right?
Yeah. There's so many of these gags. Like I don't know if people would be smart enough to see that, you know, to like them today. One of my all-time.
Wait. Very well put. Smart enough to like them in that they're too subtle, or in that people would be too PC sensitive.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be able to do a 23.5-minute sitcom wherein the entire plot that drives the episode is based on how long they can go without masturbating. I don't know that you would be.
You know, I dare say that's the one that they would get away with today.
I don't think so. I think people would be really upset about it. I think people would be really, really upset about it.
Well,
I think it would carry a TV MA rating. I think so. Anyway.
I don't know. I want to come back to that because I'm sure that later on we're going to talk about iconic episodes. But I think that, you know, well, you and I think both agree that you and I both agree that at least the episodes as they stood back in those days, they could never play the same episode today because the failures, the comedy was based on the failure of technology or the lack of information, if you will. But I think the other reason that I don't think they could do a lot of that today was that the entire premise of the show was based on the fact that these people are assholes.
Yeah. They're mostly sociopaths.
Yeah.
Or narcissists, I suppose, in the case of Jerry. But it's sort of one of the things you were talking about the limitations of technology, and that's sort of what drives a lot of the episode plot devices. Like they have the episode where she, you may not have seen it. They have the episode where like Elaine has the guy from like Trinidad and Tobago staying with her, and she's got to wake him up, and the alarm clock fails because there was a power outage.
Yeah.
And, like, that's like 90% of the show. Is all these like, I can't get to a phone and call somebody because there are no cell phones. I have to go to a payphone, and I got to wait for the jerk off that's on the phone and get off the payphone. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the a lot with the phones and the call going to the answering machine, and you're waiting for the person to call you, and that's the only way the person can reach you. There's no text, there's no email.
Yeah. Well, I think that there was internet towards the end of the show. Because I remember them mentioning it once or twice. Like Jerry was, okay. So talking about episodes, you remember the Serenity Now episode, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in that episode, George is trying to sell Elaine a computer, And he says, yeah, he goes, you can't believe the price I would get you. I can get you on a desktop computer. And she goes, I'm not going to buy a computer from you. And he goes, what about porn? They have porn. And so Elaine goes, even so, I'm still not buying a computer from you. Hey,
This is true because it had to be 92 or 93. Wait, no. Wait, sorry. 95, 96.
The Serenity now
Had to be
was like 98, I think, 97 or 98.
Yes, I'm thinking about when I saw my first episode, which was the series finale. It had to be 97 or 98. So there was definitely internet at that time, and there was email, but nothing. I mean, nothing.
Yeah,
like
it was nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
Can't sit here and read about cuck service on Twitter.
I feel so old. Reddit would have been nice.
Yeah, Reddit. One of the I think one of my favorite dumbass. I was reading something on Twitter. One of my favorite lines from the show ever is where he's talking to this guy, Alec Berg, and he goes, you have a great John Houseman name, Alec Berg. Did you hand your assignment in yet, Mr. Berg?
A lot of great lines from the show, of course. And again, back to the Master of Your Domain episode. I love that one. Especially that at the end, John F. Kennedy Jr. ruins it. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. And even the line there, John F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the soup Nazi, no soup for you. So what was just on? So now this is crazy. As I texted you, I was at the house with my puppy tonight with the dog, and Nasser had on Seinfeld, and it was the BO episode, the episode where they get the stink out of the car tonight.
Oh, I remember that one. That's where they had Rochelle the musical in the car, and then somebody stole it from him. And they go into before that they go into the restaurant and they're trying to get the maitre d' to pay to clean the car. And he goes, "Why don't you go in the car and sniff it?" And he goes, "I don't have time to go and smell cars. I'm a busy man." And I was just I'm like, you know what? That's probably what I would have said. Like, the fuck, get out of here! I don't have time to go smell your car. Come on,
smell your car.
Get out of here, you little bastard.
Well, very New York, and you must identify with it a lot with kind of the New Yorky asshole interactions. I'm sorry, even I'm from Boston. We all think New Yorkers are assholes.
But yeah. I think probably the most typical New York person on that show is probably Newman, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Because he's the lazy asshole mailman that everybody had when they were kids and didn't want to fucking do anything. And then when you asked him where your package was, he was like, I don't know. Maybe it'll come tomorrow. Well, where is it?
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's he's the most New York person I think on the show.
That's pretty funny. One little kind of who knew-ish thing about Newman is that in one of the very early shows, and I don't know if it was the pilot, but it was one of the first few shows, long before, I think the actor is Wayne Knight, right?
Yes,
before
Wayne Knight.
He was cast as Newman and put in the show. There was an episode, I'm sure you know this, but hope maybe the listeners will learn something new. There was an episode where Newman was yelling out his window upstairs down to Jerry's window downstairs. and he was like yelling at Jerry, and they're like, "Oh, that's Newman," and it was Larry David's voice because they didn't have the actual character. They didn't have the actual like actor or character of Newman, so it was Larry David's voice.
That's correct. They hadn't cast Wayne Knight yet.
Yeah, and at some point later, like when you get the DVDs now or whatever, much like the Star Wars Special Edition, by the way, they redubbed Wayne Knight's voice into those lines.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes,
they did do that.
Yeah,
and they
so
also
we shit you not.
They also did it for the Hulu episodes, because Seinfeld just finally, after years and years and years, they finally decided to put Seinfeld on a streaming service. And they put it on Hulu, and when it launched last month, I think it was, last month, they actually provided that episode that way. It's actually done on Hulu as well. Wayne Knight's voice is dubbed over Larry David's voice.
Yes, very Star Warsy, very George Lucas.
Larry David did a lot of really great stuff on that show. A lot of people don't know, he was actually George Steinbrenner on the show.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. He was George Steinbrenner's voice?
Yeah, he was the voice of George Steinbrenner on the show.
It makes sense now in my head.
Yeah. If you think about it. It's really good. Oh, Big Stein is mad! Some of my favorite moments were of George Steinbrenner, and you know what was so great about this though is that like they actually Steinbrenner actually got into it, like he actually kind of liked it, which is weird.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is weird because he was kind of known as a guy that like really couldn't take a joke. And you know, it was weird that like he sort of embraced it in a way. It was kind of strange.
That's pretty amazing. It must be a testament to the appeal of the show, I guess. See, I couldn't, to be honest with you, I could barely take any of the Steinbrenner episodes because Yankees.
I always thought the Steinbrenner moments were really great. You know why they stopped doing that? Do you know the reason? Okay, here's another who knew about the show. Do you know the reason that they stopped? Why they had George transition from the Yankees to play now to Kruger Industrial Smoothing? Do you know the reason they did that?
No.
Because Larry David left the show in the seventh or eighth season and didn't want to be involved in the show anymore.
So then they didn't have any Steinbrenner voice? They
had no Steinbrenner voice. So they, rather than change the voice and then probably later have to dub it over later with someone else, they just decided to ixnay the character, and they had him get fired by the Yankees.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, so this now you got to talk about the big Who Knew, which I don't remember if this was part of our previous shows Who Knew about Seinfeld with the Jay Peterman.
Oh, I didn't mention that. Okay. So John O'Hurley, the guy who plays Jay Peterman, the catalog. And by the way, first off, the Peterman catalog is a real catalog. It's a real mail order catalog. It still exists today. Jay Peterman is actually a real guy, or was a real guy. And he had a mail order catalog in the United States and in England. And there were all these like fanciful stories in it, yada yada yada. I mean, you know, you watch the show, you know that. You know.
Yada yada yada.
Yeah. So you know the deal. So, it's funny that John O'Hurley was selected to play the fictional Jay Peterman and run the Jay Peterman catalog, because in reality, John O'Hurley is the largest investor in the Jay Peterman catalog, and the director, he's like the executive.
It's on the board of directors?
Yeah, he's like the chairman of the board of directors for the Jay Peterman catalog.
Wait, though, is that before or after?
I think it was before the show, actually.
Oh, because when you first told me this, I thought he became involved with it after being...
No. I think he was involved in it.
Oh my God!
Beforehand. Yeah. I think he was involved in it beforehand. But I always thought that was really weird. I didn't learn that until a couple of years ago.
That's the friggin' best PR move ever. Hey, I'm an actor who happens to be heavily invested in this company. Let's publicize the company on a famous sitcom, and I'm gonna play the guy that represents the company. That's crazy.
Okay, actually, I got that slightly wrong. In 2001, he financed the relaunch of the J. Peterman Company, and then he is now the co-owner of the company.
Oh, okay. So
and also sits on the board of directors.
I don't blame him.
It was after the show, but it's really weird, right? That it's like George says, worlds are colliding.
In fact, I believe they call that Inception now.
George is getting upset.
No, but that also, you got to say that's also a little creepy, because the guy that played J. Peterman, now he kind of wants to be J. Peterman. There's a little creep factor to that too.
Well, I'm sure the money that he makes soothes any psychological problem.
Cough, Caitlyn Jenner, cough.
No, John O'Hurley was a fantastic actor. He really took the role of J. Peterman and he made it something interesting. Mm-hmm. And there's this really great episode that I was just telling a friend about, the Van Buren Boys. Have you ever seen that episode?
I don't know. Tell me.
Okay. Well, first off, let me tell you this story. Larry David had a roommate when he lived in New York City, and his name was Kenny Kramer. When they wrote Seinfeld, they based the character of Kenny Kramer off of his roommate during his college years in New York.
They based the character of Cosmo Kramer off of Kenny Kramer.
Correct.
Yeah.
And at some point during the show's run, this guy Kenny Kramer decided to host a real Seinfeld tour. And he bought this yellow school bus and he put a sign on the side of it, and he charged people to take them around to real locations where he and Larry David used to hang out and whatever. And so when Larry David found out he was doing this, he got really upset and he tried to sue him. And that didn't go anywhere. So what he did instead was he did mock him. And so they set up an episode where J. Peterman wanted to write his own biography, but he felt that his life story had already basically been told through the catalog. So he decided to buy Kramer's life stories and make them into a biography of himself. And the stories, of course, were, completely fucking ridiculous.
Right, absurd, yeah.
Yeah, and there's this really great scene after he tries to give Kramer the stories back and get his money back from him, where Kramer starts a bus tour called The Real Kramer or something like that. The Real J. Peterman. The Real Peterman.
Peterman and that other guy's tour was The Real Kramer.
Yeah. So they did that to mess with him, but there's this really awesome scene in the Van Buren Boys, which is the episode that sets the whole thing, this whole thing up. And she goes over to J. Peterman's apartment to see Elaine goes over there to help him start writing the book. And so she goes over to his apartment and she finds out that this really, effete, rich, adventuring, British man is actually a pathetic loser that sits in his underwear, eating Cheetos and wiping crumbs off his pants. And it's this great scene where she's sitting in his apartment and he's man-spreading on the couch, has a TV remote in his hand, and he has all the TV channels written on the back of his TV remote. Remember when everybody used to do that? You write it on a little piece of paper, and then you tape it to the back of your TV.
Before the guide. Before the guide.
Yeah, before the guide channel, and before people just, had the internet. And so he's looking at the back of the remote, and he's trying to flip through the channels, and he found out that the cable company had changed a couple of them around on him. And he's looking at the back, and he's like, Oh, I'll never find out where Murphy Brown is. He's got like his hand down his pants and he looks like a slob. And they're talking about writing his life story and he goes, "Do you want pizza?" And he's like, it was such a great show. It was just such a great episode. Like they just, the only thing I was waiting for was for like John O'Hurley to go, "Please don't tell anyone how I live." Please don't tell anyone what I'm really like.
How much will it take to keep this between us?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trump's first ex-wife or Trump's second ex-wife settlement?
Oh, God. We said we weren't going to talk about that, Bill.
I'm not.
And not for nothing, but you actually can legally rape your spouse. But anyway, let's go to a break. When we come back, more of our show about nothing. See you in a minute.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Back. Thank you so much for sticking with us with our show about nothing, which means for us mostly Seinfeld. Billy, you and I enjoy talking about how almost all of those episodes could never have been done or pulled off in this day and age because of technology, and in our talking about it, we determined that most of the plot lines were about a lack of information. But then you brought up a very good point to me the other day, which was
that even though a lot of the plots for the show are dated because they don't have cell phones and whatever, they could totally have updated the show. cell phone batteries don't last long enough and die when I need them the most. GPS doesn't always lock onto the right location and sends me, Apple Maps sucks. Google Maps is a joke. The selfie camera on my phone sucks.
Yeah.
What's the deal with dropping phones and then breaking? These things cost $600 and I pull them out of a pair of $25 jeans from, Target or Target, as I say.
My skinny jeans. I'm a dude in my skinny jeans bent my iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. They could have, my self-driving car drove me into the Hudson River with Chelsea Sullivan,
Chelsea, there's some good sandwiches at Chelsea, Alec Baldwin says.
Hey, go get yourself a pussy sandwich.
That's a South Park reference, people.
Yes, it is. Terrific. And South Park, by the way, returns September 19th.
Here we go. Obviously, there's going to be a future episode about that. If you all think I have limited information about Seinfeld, wait until our South Park episode.
There won't be a South Park episode.
Okay.
No, one of the things that I always thought, one of the greatest jokes I ever thought they ever did on Seinfeld was the guy who talks to himself and he talks in the third person. Do you remember that?
I don't know
one?
if I saw this one. I don't know if I saw it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Well, there's the whole episode sort of revolves around this guy named Jimmy who talks in the third person. Jimmy's on fire. Jimmy's got game. Jimmy hits the net.
Oh, it's a guy they know at the gym.
Yeah, the guy from
the
guy from the 3rd Street Y.
Yeah.
Jimmy's on fire.
I'm with you
Jimmy's
now.
gonna get you, Kramer. Jimmy. You're the one that took the bread out of Jimmy's mouth. No, I always thought that was such a great episode. There's some episodes of the show, and I have to say, one of the greatest episodes of Seinfeld, I think. A lot of people say it's the Soup Nazi. Some people say it's
I'm not really a fan of the Soup Nazi episode at all.
I'm not either. I know a lot of people really like it. I know a lot of people really like the Yada Yada episode. For me, I think one of the funniest episodes ever is from the very last season. It's one of the last episodes of the show. It's called The Betrayal. Mm-hmm. It's an episode that's done completely backwards. It's like a David Lynch movie.
I was totally going to bring that up.
Yeah. It's done completely backwards. It's a great movie. See, now it's a David Lynch movie. That's how stoned I am. It's a great show. It's a great show. It's a terrific watch. It's done so great, and one of my favorite lines in it is, "My friend FDR wished me to die." FDR? Yeah, my friend Franklin Delano Romanowski. Franklin Delano Romanowski sounds like a Jewish electrician. Full Jewish electrician.
Now, I have to say, I don't find that episode actually very funny.
It's not funny.
But I find it so amazing and clever and cleverly produced that it's absolutely one of my favorites.
How about the ending?
I don't know him by title like you do, Bill.
Oh, okay. No, that's not the name of the episode. I mean the end of the episode.
What about it?
Okay, well, there's this really great scene at the very end of the episode where they're going backwards, totally going backwards.
Right.
And then they end up in the diner with Susan Ross, who's still alive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back even further after that to when Jerry first moved into the building. And he's in the hallway, and Kramer opens the door to his apartment, and they're in the hallway talking. And he says, "Oh, you must be Kessler." And he goes, "Oh, no. It's Kramer. That's a typo." It turns out that when they had originally written the show, somehow Larry David had dictated the word the name Kessler onto the script. and they didn't catch it till the very end. So in the very first episode of the show, the very first episode where Kramer appears, they call him Kessler. But it only lasts for that one episode. So in the last season of the show, the third to last episode of the show, they decided to do that backwards episode.
Oh, that's crazy.
Do that show, and they were making fun of it. And he
That's
goes, "Oh,
another amazing Who Knew.
Yeah. It's on the commentary for the DVD. They were explaining it.
Wow, that's
They
awesome.
thought
Who
that would
knew?
be so
Billy?
meta. They thought that would be so meta to go backwards and correct that as a typo.
Oh, that's so awesome.
A lot of people don't know that, Joe. A lot of people don't know about that. That's a
Also,
yeah.
hey,
that's a really awesome story.
also known as.
I shit you not.
Yeah, no. So I do love that backwards. I really don't find it particularly funny, but it's just so clever to do an episode like that I absolutely love it. God, what are the ones
Kessler,
that I like?
huh? Oh no, that's a typo.
It's a typo. That's a hell of a typo.
Yeah.
Like, so was that Himmler, huh? No, it's a typo.
No, it's Hitler. Hey, we got
Which
it
one's
wrong.
do I like. Oh God, I like the one with the frozen yogurt and Rudy Giuliani.
Oh God, yeah, with the fat,
The fat content is fucked
Yeah,
up, and
yeah,
everybody gains weight, and then there's like an issue with the mayor. That was funny. I love the garage one, the Chinese restaurant one, where they're just waiting for 100 years.
Do you remember that one?
What?
Do you remember the one where they had that lady Donna Chang and they thought that she was Chinese? No?
That was all right. Not a fan.
Okay.
The man hands. The girlfriend with
Oh
the
God, yeah.
man hands. Well, that's another like sort of ongoing plot thing, is that Jerry is fortunate enough, like, which would never happen in real life. He ends up dating the most gorgeous women in the country, and there's always a problem with them.
Yeah.
They either have a problem with Jerry or he finds fault with them, which again kind of goes along with the theme that these are all New York assholes.
Yes. And that's a recurring theme in the show, even up until the very last season, where he goes. You know who one of my favorite recurring characters is? Tim Watley, the dentist. The guy who starts out as a Catholic and converts to Judaism just so he can tell jokes to his patients. You remember that?
No.
Yeah. Jerry goes into a confessional to talk to a priest to talk to Watley's old priest, and he, because he's Jewish, he doesn't know what a kneeler is in the confessional, so he goes and he sits down, and the priest opens the door and he just sees Jerry's head there, and he goes, that's a kneeler, right? Come on, the Pope and Raquel Welch in a lifeboat, those aren't buoys. Who hasn't heard that before?
Can't get that ethnic anymore.
Well, no. In fact, you could never. You could, and then he says, and then the priest says to him, Jerry says to the priest, he says, I have a suspicion, Father, that Tim Watley converted to Judaism purely for the jokes. And he goes, and that offends you as a Jewish person? No, it offends me as a comedian.
Too much competition.
Yeah. Can't have this many self-loathing people. Come on.
That ain't right. It's almost like he's an illegal immigrant.
We'll have to let Donald Trump know about that.
Yeah. What was I going to... Oh, so I have to interject right here, because even though we're talking about nothing, I want to talk about a little something. This week was my beloved Bugs Bunny's 75th birthday. Talk about your educational, comedic entertainment that could never be done these days. Bugs Bunny was the beginning and the end of that. And
I prefer
everything
Mickey
cool. We're good. We're gonna have to talk about that. Everything cool.
Boy.
Everything cool. No, you do. I mean, you do a good Mickey Mouse, but everything cool and mature and sophisticated that I ever learned in my life, honestly, I learned as a child from Bugs Bunny and the Warner Brothers cartoons, and they will never be allowed again. I mean, I hope someday we get back to a point where we have a free and open culture where you can have that kind of entertainment. But God bless you, Bugs Bunny, and I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Do you know why? Do you know why Disney was able to survive and they couldn't do Warner Brothers today, but they could still do Disney?
Tell me.
Because nobody ever found out that Walt Disney hates the Jews. That's just a scary internet rumor.
You're...
They didn't do that for nothing, though. Did you ever see
You've been
that?
waiting for a show about nothing for that, right?
Oh, yes. I've wanted to do that for a long time.
Oh my
Hating on
God.
the Jews makes Disney Company look bad. Okay, I won't do that.
I love when Bill does Mickey Mouse, and we've never been able to fit it into any other show, but here you go. I have no idea. I have never fact checked Mickey Mouse's assertions about this, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a really great the Family Guy does so little good humor, like so little.
That's
Nothing
for sure.
that they do is funny.
That's for
But
friggin' sure.
Really great line where they're talking about Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen. And they unfreeze it, and then they flash back, as they always do in Family Guy, because 95% of their show is fucking flashback jokes.
Show sucks. Well, maybe, wait a minute. Maybe if Seth MacFarlane paid more attention to running Grease than to Family Guy. Never mind.
No, this is really great. This is really great joke. They flash back to Disney in the cryogenic freezing chamber, and they unfreeze him, and the guy, and he comes out of the chamber, and he goes, "Are the Jews gone yet?" "No, sir." Mr. Disney, "Put me back in."
Oh my God. Obviously, we will need to explore this, whether or not it's true, but just, you heard it here first in our show about nothing.
"Don't say anything, or Eisner will cap your ass." I'm not the first guy to do the voice of Mickey.
Okay, we're going to a break. We'll see you back shortly.
That's all, folks.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of libertative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right round.
Ebola
Anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway,
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
We're back. We are back on the right angle with Bill and Leslie. Thank you for staying with us with our show about nothing, because sometimes everybody needs a damn break.
I definitely need a break. Us conservatives need breaks all the time.
Yeah, man. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the one nothing that I did want to talk about tonight, but I'm going to postpone it, is the big nothing that is the Boston 2024 Olympic bid. And I'm absolutely thrilled that that is now squashed. But as I looked into that news today, there is so much more to it that I wanted to spend more time looking into it before I talk about it. But I'm thrilled that that is a big nothing burger. There's going to be no Olympics in Boston in 2024. Now, back to Seinfeld, Billy. My favorite episode is definitely the Master of Your Domain episode. What say you about that?
Master of Your Domain. I'll be really honest with you. I don't like the Seinfeld episodes that flow into each other. And that's actually what I call a flow episode. There are 2 episodes before that, because he meets that girl who's the virgin, and then they go out on a date, and it's like a series of like 2 or 3 episodes. I don't particularly like that. So, I like the premise.
Isn't that virgin girl the actress that went on to play the nurse on Frasier?
Is it? I don't know that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Anyway,
I didn't
okay,
know
if you
that.
don't know, never mind.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Anyway.
I didn't particularly like that episode. Mostly because I just thought it was kind of, I don't know. I just thought the premise kind of fell flat. I don't know. It wasn't enough for an episode, I don't think. And they kind of based the whole thing around it and the contest. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
I don't know. I thought there were like the really great, like little crisp little scenes and the little one-liners and the little quotables. And it's like, you know, it's something that assholes would do, you know, and then they friggin' bring in John F. Kennedy Jr. and that's so implied. I don't know. There's something about that appeals to me.
If I had to pick one episode I really, really liked, damn. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would have to say it was it's the Festivus episode probably.
I was just gonna say that too. It's like
It's got to be for me. It has to be the Festivus episode.
It's like you and I have ESPN tonight, Billy.
This is true.
Yep, Festivus. Can you just give a little synopsis of that?
Well, you can do that. You've seen the episode, right?
How about you do it?
George's father invented a holiday like 25 years ago that was a slight on the corporatization of Christmas. And he called it Festivus, and it's like this kind of wacky holiday where they get like this like metal pole and they decorate it with garland and tinsel and stuff, and then they sit down and they have dinner, and it gets kind of weird from there. If it wasn't already, it gets really weird from there. They have a bunch of challenges. The first one is called the Feats of Strength. Well, no, first one's the airing of grievances. The first one's the airing of grievances.
So basically, he makes up his entire own holiday with its own rituals.
Yes. And the airing of grievances is you get up at the dinner table and you just tell everybody in your family how they've disappointed you all year and how much you hate them. And then the feats of strength is 2 people in the family randomly just basically wrestle with each other until one person pins the other and that one gives up. And George doesn't like the feats of strength.
Yeah, I bet. You would be fantastic on the feats of strength ceremony, Billy.
I really like that episode for like 1,000 different reasons, but I think one reason I really like it is this line where he's explaining, George's father is explaining how this holiday came to be, and he goes, "I went to the mall to buy a doll for my son." And I think he said something like, "And another man took it from me," or something. And as I rained blows upon him, I realized that there had to be a better way. A Festivus for the rest of us. So Kramer goes, "Oh, whatever happened to the doll?" And he goes, "It was destroyed." That was some doll. And he goes, "She was."
Oh my God.
Implying that he put George like a woman and a girl's doll or something. I just love the way he describes that. As I rain blows upon him, I realized that there had to be a better way.
It was like they did this holiday episode in a way that everything was more bellicose and more epic.
It was really great.
In the episode. And now I will tell you how enduring Seinfeld is, because this past year, literally 2014, we celebrated at my oldest brother's house. And my oldest brother had my whole family there and a little tabletop Festivus pool. Christmas 2014.
Really? He had a Festivus pole?
Yes, because they sell them. They sell them.
Oh, yes, I know they do.
Tchotchkes and whatever. 2014. The cultural impact of Seinfeld endures.
Okay, here's one for you. We have a couple of minutes left.
1 minute.
Go to Google and type in Festivus.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome.
And that's that. And one thing we didn't get to talk about that I thought was also iconic was the episode about the manzier, also known as not the bra, but the bro. Not going to say anything about anybody we know that might be able to use one, but whatever. All right, Billy, anything else before we go?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, where can everybody find you?
Wherever polls are sold on Twitter. At Defend Wall Street.
And I am at LADOWD on Twitter and recorded on the Snark Factor with Fingers Malloy and Midnight Movie Cowboys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in our show about nothing. We're very confident we'll have a show about something next week. And huge thanks to K98 Talk PD and our producer, Ricky Robinson, always the master of his internet radio domain. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.